Hey guys, it's Arcade and I'm back with another video, and today is the day that Future House finally has a baby with orchestral music. So yeah, basically the idea of this video is to combine Future House with orchestral music, take elements from Future House, take elements from orchestral music, combine them together for an epic future orchestral song. I call it the futurestral house. Yeah, maybe we'll work on the name, but that's pretty much what I'm gonna do today. Also, this video is brought to you by Skillshare, which, if you don't know, is a page where you can learn new skills and improve your existing skills. So I will talk about that a little more later, but now let's get to this track. So yeah, so if you ever wondered what happens when you combine Future House and orchestral music, here it is. First, let me show you some of the Future House elements, and then I'm gonna show you the orchestral music elements, and then we're gonna hear how they sound together. Let me put on my headphones and let's get started. So to start off, the BPM is at 128, which is the Future House BPM. First element that I worked on is the drums, and I kind of wanted Future House drums. So here's how the drum sounds. It's actually a really simple beat, as usual. So that's the first part of the beat, which is just the kick and the snare. And then the second part, we add the hi-hats. But of course, we want to add in a little bit of orchestral drums as well. So what I did is added some fills. I have the fills from Kashmir's pack, which is one of my favorite packs if you don't know. And it has a bunch of orchestral drums. So I have this low drum, this fill with toms, and this fill as well. And it sounds like this. So yeah, that just adds that orchestral element into the drums. So now let's get to the more interesting stuff. I'm gonna show you the melodies. First, I wanna show you the composition. Before starting to choose the sounds or make the drums, I started with a simple piano. I created the chords and a simple melody that I'm gonna use for the whole song. That's one of the ways you can start when making a song. Just start with a simple composition using a piano. So here is the composition I created. If you want to learn more about creating melodies and compositions, I would recommend checking out Skillshare, which is the sponsor of today's video. On Skillshare, you can pretty much learn any new skill by watching classes about it. So for example, if we write music theory into Skillshare, you'll get a lot of classes that go in detail on how to learn music theory. And these are not just some short videos like on YouTube. These are longer classes, but you'll be able to learn everything in a way better way. So if you actually use the link below, you'll get 2 months for free. So in 2 months you can learn a lot of new skills and pay nothing. After that, the subscriptions can be as low as $10 a month. You could also learn more about FL Studio just by typing FL Studio in the search bar, and check out a class like this one by Chester Sky that has over 2,000 students. I actually used Skillshare myself before, and I gotta say it's one of the best ways to learn any new skill. So yeah, check it out, link below, 2 months for free. Now let's get back to the video. So yeah, with the composition out of the way, we can actually now start putting the notes from the composition and assigning new sounds to it. So for the intro, I started with a more orchestral vibe. So I've got this brass from Nucleus by Audio Imperia, and it's this sustained brass sound. And I lowered the dynamics, so it's not like really loud brass. And I used the chords from the composition I showed you. I just make them longer. So as you can see, the dynamics are low. If they were high, it would sound like this. I actually really love this library. It's the light edition, but it has pretty much everything you need to get started with an orchestral track. So yeah, that's the brass sound. And then my favorite sound from the library, which is the choir. And I use the staccatissimo phrases, which is like short notes. I use the chords and the melody for this sound. So every time you hit a note, it changes the phrase. And you can actually change it manually as well if you want to. So that's what I really love about this specific sound. I'm gonna be using it in this song a lot, so it's kind of a main theme. Also in the intro, I added some claps and some shaker loops, you know, to get that future house vibe going, and some impact. And then a sub bass. For the sub bass, I'm using a sound from Kashmir spec for Nexus called Drone Neverland, which is like a deep bass. And that is the intro. Now let's move on to the build-up. In the build-up, I used the classic house piano, which is from Nexus, called Bright Piano. I used the chords from the composition I showed you, and it sounds like this. I boosted the high frequencies for this sound because I really like for the piano to be really bright, and also it's sidechained by the Kickstart plugin. You can also use gross beat or any type of sidechaining. It just means every time the kick hits, the volume of the sound is lowered. That's something that is used in Future House a lot. And then we have some more elements in the build-up, which is some impact sounds, this fill sound, and of course an orchestral element, which is the strings. Again, I'm using a spiccato strings from the Nucleus library. The link to this library will be below as well. Then we have the build-up drums. 100% Future House style, and then this cinematic fill just before the drop. And yeah, then comes the drop. The drums I already showed you. In the drop, we have this piano again. But I lowered the velocity a little bit, so it's not as loud in the mix. Then for the more of a Future House element, we got this sub bass and a gritty bass. So this is the sub bass. This punch sub. Again, the sound is sidechained. And then this gritty bass called the Nars bass. So together they sound like this. And those are the Future House elements in the drop. So if we only play the Future House elements, which is the piano, the bass, and the gritty bass, I would say, and the drums, of course, here's how the drop would sound. But of course, we want to add more orchestral elements, which I'm going to show you right now. So for our cinematic orchestral stuff, we got this brass sound, and it's the staccatissimo brass with the dynamics all the way up, and it sounds like this. So I have the bass notes in there and the notes of the melody as well. And for the effects, I have sound goodizer to make it a bit more obvious in the mix, and some reverb, because I felt it needed more reverb. Then we've got this sound, which is, again, the choir sounds. That's actually me singing. Just kidding. For the effects, I put sound goodizer on it. I put EQ, deleted the low frequencies, boosted the high frequencies. Then stereo shaper to make this sound more to the sides of the mix. You know, so it's not in the middle of the mix, it's more left and right. I always use this pretty much. And also I sidechained it, but a little bit less than the bass. So together the sounds sound like this. Then we have this one note of string. It's almost something you don't hear in the song, but it's there and it fills up a little bit more frequencies. It's just the string. I changed the expression of the string so it goes from like slower, more calm sound into a more dramatic sound, but it's nothing crazy. So yeah, you might think that's pretty odd, but in the whole mix, it actually sounds good and it fills out some frequencies, as I said. So yeah, that's the first repetition of the drop. And in the second one, I add another octave to the choir. So now it sounds like this. So yeah, this is like my favorite sound right now. If you want to get it, check out the Nucleus Lite Edition. It's only like $100, so it's pretty affordable. And so that's what I do in the second repetition. And I also add back the strings again. And for the fill, as I mentioned with the drums, we also have this brass. One more thing I added in the second repetition is this brass sound, which plays long notes. And that's pretty much it for the orchestral part of the drop. Let me show you how it sounds if we only play the orchestral stuff. So yeah, it's certainly missing the rhythm of a Future House track. We are almost done here. Last thing I did is the outro, which is 100% orchestral, I think. And we have all sorts of automations here for the dynamics of the sounds. We have the brass, we have the choir, and we have strings. And it sounds like this. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the outro. So now let's hear the whole song with the Future House elements and the orchestral elements, how it sounds when we combine them. Let's hear it. And there we have it. That's the Futurestral house right there. I think it's a pretty cool song. I think it has rhythm and it's like pretty epic as well. So yeah, let me know what you think. Should I do more videos like this? And let me know what genres I should combine. This time it was Future House with orchestral epic music, but next time it can be anything else. So yeah, let me know. I want to kind of turn this into a series. And make sure to check out Skillshare. The link will be below in the description. You can get 2 months for free and learn any new skill. Maybe you can learn more about FL Studio or learn a new instrument or something like that. So yeah, check it out, link below. Again, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.